Hello, everyone. How are you doing this November day? Welcome to our next matriarchal sermon. It is titled Mother Nature First, Female Second, and this is why. So it kind of relates back to my previous matriarchal sermons, but I thought I would bring it up again today after the fallout of the US election of Trump versus Harris. If you have spent a lot of time on social media lately, you will hear from women everywhere on all political ideologies, beliefs, and value systems expressing their opinions, whether they're pro-Trump, pro-Harris, or pro-something else. And there's a lot of chaos right now. There's a lot of fear, a lot of terror. There's also a lot of relief. There's a lot of emotions going around, and I have the ability through going deep into my own demons and fear and terror and suppression and trauma to really see the big picture. And I'd like to share with you the big picture that I see that's going on right now, which is making me smile. I am neither a Harris or a Trump fan. I do not follow any politician whatsoever. But I will support in the moment whatever issues that resonate to my cause, which is Mother Nature first, female second. Whatever politician is bringing movement towards that cause versus movement away from that cause, and I will support that at the moment for the cause, not really for the politician. So I'm quite happy that Trump won. Let me finish. Not because I support him. I don't. Although I am quite pleased with some other things that are coming from that. And one of them is the gender ideology of Harris's movement is now being put on the back burner. And that is allowing trans-identified men to colonize our existence and our spaces. And that needs to stop. It was a runaway train wreck, just growing to epidemic proportions around the world. And USA being a very, very strong and powerful nation, being the front runner for stopping this train is really important, because all other matters of female, our abortion rights, which I am pro for, our rights just everywhere, for equal pay, for vote, for land ownership, for everything, for our freedom, cannot come until we can keep the definition of what a woman is and have that protected under the law. And we need to be able to keep our spaces free of men. So that to me was the foundation. That was the first and foremost. And without that, nothing else matters, because if you can erase womanhood from reality, our existence and our spaces, then you can easily erase everything else. So my plea to the women who are scared of what Trump and the right-wing conservatives can bring, I hear you. But that needed to be dealt with first, because nothing else matters. So that's where I stand on that. The other great thing I'm seeing from the Trump presidency is the rise, on social media at least, the rise of the 4B movement from Korea coming to North America. I'm really happy about that. in case you don't know what the 4B movement is, it is a movement in South Korea made by women, Korean women, who have declared that they're not going to have sex with men, they're not going to marry men, they're not going to birth children, they're not going to date men. Like, they have separated their lives from men. And they've done this in order to protect themselves, because they are just done with any misogyny running through their culture, any traditional values that are suppressing them, violence against women in their country. They're just done. So they've created this separatist movement for women. And a lot of people, women from the right, from the left, radical feminists to liberal feminists to everybody is, starting to learn about this movement. And I think this is fantastic, because it brings towards the cause of female second. And I love to see it. And I knew that this would happen with the Trump win. Maybe not to the extent of like the 4B coming. I didn't predict that, but I knew that women would be starting to get angry. And from somebody who's healed trauma, well, I'm still healing, but has healed quite a bit, let me tell you that anger is the way out of fear. Because fear traps you. And it can be powerful, don't get me wrong. I love my fear, because it tells you what you care for and what you value for, and what you're scared will be taken away from you. But it can also trap you and shut you down and keep you in, keep you from voicing out what needs to be done. Anger does that for you. It brings the fear that's sitting in you and it pulls it out. And now you're bringing justice to the cause. And so now you're enforcing your boundaries, you're enforcing your values, you're screaming about the abuse that's been done and what needs to be taken care of, and you're forcing people to be accountable, and screaming about all in the world that women have been, have been suppressed and held down with, and all this. And so anger is good. And so while a lot of people are looking at the angry liberal woman, screeching out, and whether it's rational or not, I'm just happy it's coming out. Because, ladies, that anger and that fear is better out than in. My only suggestion is, as you're screaming, to be mindful of it and process it, and not simply project it out, but really sit with why it's there, and what you're really trying to achieve with it, and how can you personally be responsible for it, and what isn't yours to be responsible for. And it's a really excellent way to dive in and discover who you are and what is important to you amidst all the emotional chaos. The one thing that you shouldn't do is to just simply project it and not think about it, because then you're just doing what men have done for 10,000 years. So let's be matriarchal about it and not patriarchal, and work with all the drama and all the stuff that's coming through. The reason why I say Mother Nature first, female second, is because Mother Nature is our creator, our God, the reason why we exist. She is in every cells of our body, all the elements, earth, wind, fire, water, spirit, it's all there. She is the reason why we eat, why we have shelter, why we drink. She is the reason for everything. And she is literally within us. The earth is 2/3 water, and so are we. The earth has seeds planted deep within its soil to grow into trees, and so do our eggs in our womb to grow into humans. I mean, we are a replica of her in every way. And as humans, as women, we are a replica of her ability to create. So females are second because of our ability to create, because we are gods in the sense of Mother Nature. And to me, harmony, homeostasis, balance comes from honoring those two laws, Mother Nature first, female second, and being responsible with it. But we can't be responsible with it until we honor it and we know the truth for what it is. One of the foundations of my existence, of my values, is truth. Truth has been the key ingredient to unraveling all the falsities that I've been forced to swallow while I was traumatized. And within truth, I find all the different pathways of mending all the brokenness. Because truth doesn't lie. I mean, obviously, truth doesn't lie. So there's a lot of truth that's coming out with the fallout of this election. And a lot of people aren't really seeing it. And so I implore you, I mean, it is really fun to doom scroll social media when you're bored and read all that. I'm kind of a train wreck watcher myself. But I implore you to put down the phone if you are one of those and pick up books like these. Zoom in. Books of, Mother Nature, Divine Female, books of biology, books of, The Strength of Healing, The Wild Woman, and read and gather the knowledge and the wisdom and the truth of what's being spoken and swallow that. Embrace it. Digest it, munch on it, savor it. Bring it right into your belly and then down into your blood and your bones. And then creating an existence, a life built on the values of that, if that's what is true to you, if that what means something to you. And if you're a visitor of this channel, I'm suspecting it is. And then work from that. And when you find your cause, your truth, which is the truth, in my opinion, then the fallout of elections, you're able to peel back the curtains and see the bigger picture. And there's less attachment of, what's going to happen, the what ifs that love to plague our minds. Because while we do live in a patriarchal world and it does affect us, and we do want to try and make it as best as we can for us, at the same time, we can also build a counter society, which is what this channel is all about. And the more we can gather to build that society, and the more roots that we can build there, the bigger it grows. And then that starts to fight and infiltrate the patriarchal society. And you can see it. Bringing the 4B movement, that's a way of bringing matriarchy in its own way into the patriarchal society. Women starting to attach to that. The removal of the trans identified men from our spaces is another root being planted in that direction. And I just want to share, the 4B movement is about women, biological women. And so if that movement is to grow, which it should, I think, in my opinion, it can't be done when the gender ideology, the trans-identified men, can colonize our existence. So you see how Trump's win to push that aside grows and actually strengthens the 4B movement, which is mostly coming from the left, from the Democratic supporters. It's all like this divine guidance and intervention that just happened behind the curtains. And it was all just to be as it was meant to be. And it was the Trump winning the presidency which put the gender ideology aside, which is now going to allow the 4B movement to grow without men colonizing it. It's important. So now I'm getting all passionate and my mind is muddled. Pull back the curtains and watch from the perspective of Mother Nature. She views everything from multiple viewpoints. Every single element, creature, plant, fauna, flora that is graced upon her great earth and her great cosmos all has a place and all works in ways that just keep her from surviving and thriving for billions and billions of years. She knows what she's doing. So follow her cause, and then put that perspective on when watching the patriarchal world play. I find that really eases my fears and my anger. Although I do love my fear and my anger. It has given me a lot. So allow it to play. Just don't drown yourself in it. I've done that too. It's not fun. Not fun at all. So yeah, I was actually watching, I was on social media yesterday, and then I also was reading from a book. This is my latest book, She of the Sea. Lucy H. Pierce, great author. She has written, if you can see back there, Burning Woman and Medicine Woman, and she has a couple other books too. She has her own publishing company. And she writes fantastic stuff from the female. I love her work. And so I was reading this. And if you watch my first matriarchal sermon, I read from The Great Cosmic Mother by Barbara Shaw and Monica Shu. Where's it? Hold on. Monica Shaw and Barbara Moore. Wanted to make sure I got their names right. And I read about the very first chapter where she says that Earth started as a female and reproduced asexually through the act of parthenogenesis, which is an act only female sex can do. And it wasn't until later in evolution that the Y chromosome came into play. So when I read this book, she is talking about how we, as women, our instincts, our intuitiveness, all start from the Great Sea, which is where life on Earth started, from the Great Sea. So I'm reading through this book, and there's a lot of fantastic writings. I'm going to read one for you now. If you're interested, give me a moment to find it, please. I should have bookmarked this. I'm sorry about that. Water. We are so surrounded by this fluid medium in our baths, showers, toilets, water bottles, urban fountains, mountain streams, swimming pools, oceans. It is so ubiquitous to us to have become altogether unremarkable to our daily minds, when actually is nothing short of miraculous. Without water, there is no life. We are drawn to water because water means life for us. Scientists search for this one thing on new planets to see if it can support life, water. Our beautiful blue planet is almost 3/4 water, 95%, which is salt water. Our brains are hardwired to recognize, notice, and move towards it, and not just for food, leisure, or travel. According to the biologist E.O. Wilson, we have spent most of our evolutionary history, 300,000 generations, living in close proximity to the sea. And still today, 4 in 5 of the world's population lives within 60 miles of large bodies of water. So of course we are naturally attuned to it. Our bodies and minds work optimally when in proximity to water. Recent studies show that simply being near it can calm and connect us, increase innovation and insight, and heal what is broken. So what you're seeing right now, how this is relevant to the current, we're seeing women's storm right now. Women storm about the anger of Trump being president. The women's storm of the case of gender ideology still permeating in many parts of the world. We're seeing women storming the 4B movement. All that energy is coming from the water in us, the flow in us, that instinctual part of us that comes from our ancestry, the sea. And what does water do best? Water flows. It flows from the creeks to the rivers to the lakes to the oceans. It flows from our glass to our mouth, to our throat, to our esophagus, to our stomach, through our intestines, down to the liver, through the blood, through the circulatory system, down into our kidneys and back out. Water flows. What's happening now, as chaotic as it is flowing. We were stagnant before. We were like a pond of water infested with mosquitoes laying their eggs. But it has been shaken. And when stuff has been shaken, the first thing that comes out is all that was suppressed, which is why you're seeing a lot of anger and fear and screaming and the past toxicity of, the unjust rules and laws. That has to be cleansed. That has to come out. And so we're seeing that, and it is not pretty. But if you understand how healing works, if you understand how the cycles of life work, then you can, instead of being swept by it like you're drowning in a current of a river, you can now build yourself a boat and you can gently ride the waves and enjoy where it's going. So, yeah. And I'm going to end another short reading. I'm going to do another short reading that I think is relevant for what's going on. I really enjoyed this prayer. It's called a portable prayer. So I'm going to read it for you, and maybe you can find some resonance with it, some solace with it, that you can take away with you with the sermon as you go back to, you know, your daily life and in all the stuff that's going on in our world. And this was written from the author, Lucy H. Pierce. A portable prayer. After a scary burning woman initiation that sucked my soul from my body, a beloved wise woman suggested I plunge myself in cold water. I know for many it works. My sister and brother are avid proponents of it, and I know of women healing from cancer, managing grief or trauma, who swear by the cold water swimming in the wild to boost their endorphins and energy levels. It is recommended by many doctors and therapists for depression and anxiety, shocking the system into functioning in a different way and toning the vagus nerve to calm the nervous system. But for me, the tenuousness of the connection between body, mind, and soul feels so small. My stress levels feel so high that I fear it will do the opposite, shocking me away from my body for good, which is, I think, what a lot of women may be feeling right now. When traumatized, I need the safety of the swimming pool, the hot tub, the bath, the gentle warm waters of a surrogate womb space in which to float, with a little human contact as possible, to come back to myself, to unfreeze, to fill my body with myself once more. But getting into the water is still hard. There are many times when I cannot put on a swimsuit and face the judgment of strangers. When water in any form is too much, I cannot bathe or shower or swim or even wash my face or walk the shore. Though I live a mile from the sea, there can be months between my visits. Though she heals me, often she is too fierce for me, even in her gentle days. Her light too bright, the shoreline too exposed. When my inner sea is churning so violently, I fear it may wash me away for good. I dare not approach it. I put up my sandbags, build my barricades, hunker down to survive this internal storm. This is when the numb frozenness can only be borne, not bathed. When the sensuality of water is a sensory step too far, when nothing but bed is safe or quiet enough. The wind roars outside my window, bringing the scent of seaweed and salt, reminding me of the sea that I cannot venture to. During lockdown, the local pool had become my sensory lifeline, was shut down for months on end. In a moment of clarity, I realized that I need to bring the water to me. So I head online and order an above-ground pool. It feels brave, risky, daring, and irresponsible. This pool is my portable prayer. A harking back to the turquoise bliss of 3 summers ago when the seeds of this book were planted, before the rumbles became a storm, before our lives were flooded, washed away, before this house became both jail cell and lifeboat, a time when we could venture out into the world, visit the beach as a family. It arrives during a hosepipe ban after the driest May on record. We build it together as a family, taking stones, slotting pipes, stretching tarpaulin in anticipation of the forecast summer storms. The rain falls. Day after day, the pool fills with storm water. We add salt, not chlorine. In front of our house, we now have a shrine to water magic and healing, a site for immersion in the front garden parking place of our busy modern housing estate. A turquoise cauldron of salt water behind a hedge to dissolve our anxiety on the safe home ground. I listen to 3 children who cannot normally spend time together without anger or tears are laughing and splashing. The water is working its magic. Their laughter breaks my spell of numb isolation. I emerge from the house in my swimsuit and join them in the blue. We are feeling the storm right now, and it can be too much. So how can we bring resources and safety so that we can dive into the storms, into the water with a little more ease, step by step, with a small pool in the backyard instead of the great ocean, knowing that someday we will work our way back to there. And with all the children playing and laughing in the water who before were fighting and crying, the water is a great equalizer. Mother Nature is the great equalizer. Females have the instinctual wisdom to buy a pool and create a safe medium when the outside is just too much. So I'm going to end my sermon there with that prayer that I think is just so powerful and something we can take away with what's going on today, and how we can build the matriarchy using that in a world where the patriarchy is just running amok. And how all the different movements and the different fragments of life all pull together under the big picture when we can see it. When we can see it like how water sees us. I hope you guys have a great day. I definitely recommend reading Lucy H. Pierce's books. If you like my work, I will put my PayPal button down below, and please donate. That would be fantastic. No pressure, but if you like my work, I would appreciate it. YouTube doesn't allow monetary payment until we hit 1,000 subscribers. My website, healingfromharm.com. I talk more about healing from trauma on that website. The focus there is more towards healing as opposed to building matriarchy. So if you want to check that out, please do. You can find me on various social media sites on Returning to Her. Please like, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you again next time. Enjoy your day.